Hello, everyone. I'm Emily.
And I'm Hannah.
And we are the hosts of the I Don't Think So podcast. Each episode, we discuss a different story, theory, or mystery, and we decide if we think it's believable or if we really don't think so.
Here at the I Don't Think So podcast, we are affiliated with Flurry Sports, and we present our favorite theories, mysteries, and stories on your favorite place to listen to podcasts every Wednesday. If you like what you hear, definitely share our show, give it a like, and follow us on X or Threads or Instagram at I Don't Think So _EH, or check out our YouTube at IDTS Conspiracies. That's your little check to know that that's not pre-recorded.
If it always sounds different, because it always is. Welcome back to the show. Welcome back to March.
Ooh.
I know, how crazy. It's so far in. So Hannah, we finally finished up our mysteries last week. We were talking a little bit about the Malaysian Airlines, and it was my job to figure out what the heck we were going to be doing for this month.
Which is great
Which
for
is
me.
such a fun time. And for a while, I was like, I don't know what I want to do. But then I was thinking about, like, what is March? What goes on?
What
is March? What is spring? And for whatever reason, ready for this? My combination in my brain that I created as a child, March to me feels like the library at the elementary school down in the story pit.
Oh, okay.
I don't know why. It might be because of that big mural with the badger on it. In the seasons. But, like, that's what March is to me. And that story pit always made me think of kind of like mythical creatures and folklore stories.
Okay.
So I thought it'd be fun this month to kind of talk about mythical creatures, as well as maybe if you wanted to branch out into folklore or tall tales, fables, things like that.
Love that. Okay.
I thought it'd be fun. And I was like,
I spend too much of my time looking at that mural.
For anybody who listens to us who knows Elk Mound at all, knows that mural.
Yeah.
It's this big old, like, farm mural of, like, it's divided into 4 chunks of the different seasons. And in spring, there's a big old badger.
Yeah, there's, like, all of, like, Wisconsin animals in there. There's, like, a cardinal.
A deer.
Deer. Fish.
A lake. A red farm.
We've sat and counted. I think there's 7 flowers.
I'm sure there's a robin.
Yeah, cardinal and a robin. Like, we'll do, like, random quizzes to each other at work of, like, how many fish are on there, or how many animals total are on the thing, because I think we included, I think there's, like, a butterfly or something. So we included that. It's wild.
What a fun time. Yeah. So what better way to kick off March than to talk a little bit about the leprechaun?
Oh, yeah. Cool.
Yeah. So we'll start with the origin of leprechauns, and then we'll kind of talk a little bit about their personality traits for those who are, like, not familiar.
How could you not be familiar with a leprechaun?
I don't know how you aren't, but you might be.
And you ever caught a leprechaun?
I have not caught a leprechaun. Have I tried? Absolutely.
The hardest part of being an elementary school teacher is they're like, how are we going to catch it? And I'm like, I don't know. And thank God this year St. Patrick's Day is over our spring break, so I don't have to figure it out.
Oh, absolutely. What a fun memory, too, of, like, going out for recess and coming back in the classroom would be trash. And you're like, the leprechaun! And I also remember, like, there'd be, like, footprints in the hallway. And, like, every class would be looking at these footprints. And you're like, what a cool time.
Stressful.
It's fun.
It's stressful.
As a child, core memory,
Also, the worst part's like, okay, now clean it up.
Yeah. Hey, you get the fun part of, like, wrecking it. And then you're like, oh.
I don't. Best. The leprechaun does.
Oh, I apologize. My bad.
Also, we're not going to be there, so.
Yeah, can't do it this year.
Nope.
So there's a couple different stories about how, like, leprechauns really kind of originated. According to some scholars, the word leprechaun comes from the ancient Irish Celtic god and cultural hero called Lugh.
Oh.
Lugh. You.
That's an interesting way to say, like, or spell that.
I didn't Google it, so it could be pronounced something different.
Lou? No, you're right. It's just, you know what I mean?
Yeah.
L-U-G-H.
L-U-G-H.
Like Hugh, but Lou.
Yeah.
Lou.
Fun times. I know, I was like, throw a GH in there. So Lu was originally the god of the sun and the light, and he would become a great warrior ruler of ancient Ireland.
Okay.
However, as like Christianity really moved into Europe and Europe became more of a Christianized area, Lu's stature, both like his physical stature and his stature as a god, would diminish.
Mm-hmm.
He was eventually transformed into Lu Cromane, meaning stooping Lu.
Oh.
And he would now inhabit the underground world of Sid, where all other gods were relegated to as people forgot kind of their traditions and embraced the new religion.
Them Catholics.
Them pricks. Lu thus became sort of this like fairy craftsman, and from there he would become kind of the first leprechaun.
Gotcha.
So again, as they said, like as time went on, he got shorter. So
Love
his
that.
like,
as people believed in him less, he shrunk.
He shrunk. He was like Tinkerbell. Instead of dying, he got shorter. So he would be depicted then as this kind of diminutive, like fairy goblin, often in medieval folklore.
Okay.
Leprechauns have another ancient inspiration, and these would be from the small water sprites of Celtic mythology.
Okay.
These elves or fairies were known as Luchorip or Luchoropane, and I could be butchering those. So,
they sound good.
I'm sure they're ancient Celtic language, and I'm not,
gonna Google
not
that.
enough in my voice, These would first,
Are you Irish?
Like, hardly.
Same.
It's in there.
It just comes naturally then.
My phlegm. These would first appear in Irish literature in the Ectra Fergusa Mac Letty, which translates to the adventure of Fergus, son of Letty.
Okay.
And this would date around the 8th century that this book came out.
Okay.
A number of mischievous sprites capture the hero Fergus while he's asleep. They take away his sword and they would attempt to carry him over some water. Fergus wakes up when one of his toes would touch the water's surface, and he manages to grab 3 of the sprites. The sprites win their freedom by promising to teach Fergus their swimming skills.
Fun.
So it's this idea that leprechauns are actually water sprites.
Interesting.
And that they're just very mischievous.
Love that.
Mischievous little devils that like to make deals with people.
Right. That's kind of how I always imagined it.
Other possible sources of inspiration for the leprechauns were considered to be terrible monsters. They were called the Leprechaunig.
Ooh.
These would appear in 12th century.
Okay.
So again, we're talking
way back
when. And they would again come out in this book called Lebor Gabala, which literally translates to Book of Invasions.
Okay.
Scary book title.
Yeah.
Then there are the Culture Can or the Culture Cane, male spirits seen in wider European folklore. And these are said to haunt cellars.
Ooh.
Mm-hmm. So these are described as living alone and often dressed in fine red clothes. The Culture Can.
Red.
Mm-hmm. I've been pronouncing it wrong. The Cluracan sometimes carries a purse full of silver coins. They are small in size, but large in appetite for their 2 favorite habits: smoking and drinking.
Love that.
These are considered to be rather lazy, and his preferred residence is a well-stocked wine cellar.
Same.
Where oftentimes he will be found drinking.
Mm-hmm.
But he does at least scare away any thieving servants.
Hey, there you go.
So he's kind of considered to be a little trickster, but also a good quality.
He's doing the Lord's work of protecting the wine.
Mm-hmm. The Cluracan shares similarities with the brownie of Scottish Gaelic folklore, who lives in barns and do like chores at night, although if slighted, he can break things like plates or spill milk.
Gotcha. Like the elves making the shoes kind of thing.
Fun fact for you. According to some researchers, the term leprechaun actually comes from the Irish term leithbrogan, which literally means shoemaker.
Look at
you.
Background knowledge.
And there's still even more of like leprechaun is Irish in nature. Mm-hmm. It's a big Irish folklore thing.
Yeah.
However, the inspiration behind what a leprechaun really is and where it came from depends on the source. So another person who says that it could be something else relates it to the Far Darig, who is considered to be an ugly little fairy. Rude. With a wrinkled old
unattractive
face. Ugly little wrinkly baby. In some regions of Ireland, he is very tall. However, he's considered to be able to change his size at will. So a lot of times he's seen as like very small and diminutive.
Gotcha.
He's very fond of practical jokes, but some of these could be lethal, and hence he might be considered to be an evil leprechaun.
Ooh.
The one good trait for a Far Darig is that he can, if he wishes, release people who become trapped in fairyland. And lastly, the Moros of folklore from Celtic Galicia and Asturias guard tombs and are associated with hidden treasure. Leprechauns kind of borrow features a lot of times from all these different creatures and really kind of then transcended them.
Sure.
Like these creatures have been written about in lots of folklore for a long time. Leprechauns really came from and combined a lot of these creatures together, being like they're drunk little men who
like their gold,
and they're mischievous and they like to strike bargains. So leprechauns would then come to kind of dominate Irish mythology.
Okay.
Fun, right?
Yeah, it is.
It's interesting to note that leprechauns are often associated with wealth, particularly like gold coins, but they would be considered to be cobblers or shoemakers, which is not like the most lucrative career. Nonetheless, the myth of the pot of gold persists, and there's still many people who would go looking for this treasure. It's one of the most enduring myths in Ireland and relates to a mystical type of fairy who originally was linked to the Tuatha De Danann of Irish mythology.
Ooh.
Did I Google what that was?
No.
Google it yourself. According to fables, leprechauns are tiny entities that normally take the form of like an old man in a red or green coat. So depending on who you see now, a lot of times they're depicted in all green. However, a little bit more like of an ancient photo.
Before capitalism, they could be red or green. We had to stick to one brand.
They said, no. Green on green, babe. They are known to be mischievous little creatures that like to make shoes and store their gold coins in a pot of gold that's hidden at the end of a rainbow. If you happen to catch a leprechaun, it is well known that they will provide you 3 wishes.
I didn't know that. Like a genie.
Like a genie. And then you would have to let them go.
Yeah.
Otherwise, they would wreak havoc.
Love that.
So the pot of gold is the most common of all the leprechaun myths, which say that if they find gold coins, and it doesn't really talk about where they find them, like whether they're buried in the earth or they steal them or they make them or whatever, and then they are hidden at the rainbow, at the end of a rainbow.
They get them from their shoemaking.
Rich. Why leprechauns maybe need gold is another matter entirely, since they're not real and they can't really spend it. But,
says who?
I feel like money makes money, So they're just smart business.
They're investors.
Some researchers suggest that this gold is used as a means of tricking humans and giving the leprechauns propensity for trickery.
Oh, like they're trying to suck us in.
They know our greed. In most Irish folklore tales featuring a leprechaun, he is depicted as kind of this like rogue who can do whatever he wants whenever he can. In rare cases where humans catch leprechaun in tales, typically the humans are easily outsmarted by these magical creatures that often use like a person's greed against him. So there's quite a few facts that might surprise you about leprechauns, and some that are like really well known. In popular culture, the image of leprechaun has been updated, and now the legend serves as something of more of like a tourist attraction, which lures a huge amount of tourists, particularly to Ireland. A lot of these tourists are American. The leprechaun has really captured the imagination of Americans and is featured as Notre Dame's mascot and also the symbol of Lucky Charms cereal.
Obviously. More importantly.
Delicious. The rainbow. Nope, that's Skittles.
You're magically delicious.
Thank
Lucky
you.
Charms.
Thank you. I couldn't remember all of a sudden. I was like, the marshmallows.
Mm-hmm.
Oh, that's all I would eat out of that cereal.
Oh, really?
Oh.
I love, like, the mixture.
No. As a child, I would pick out those marshmallows. Otherwise,
You can just buy the marshmallows now.
Well, I was a child, Hannah. What did you want from me? Also, my mom never bought sweet cereal.
You would always have Cookie Crisp.
Only reason we ever had Cookie Crisp is because we'd have people come over and they would like Cookie Crisp, and my mom would buy it. You know how often we ate Cookie Crisp? Never.
I feel like every time I went to your house, you guys had Cookie Crisp.
I wonder why.
You're welcome.
Thanks for coming over.
I feel like I helped you out.
Fair. Of course, not everything related to leprechauns is fun or necessarily like quirky. Think about the Leprechaun movies that starred Warwick Davis. They were, if you've ever seen them, horrifying. They've like depicted them as like little demons, basically.
Oh, hate that.
And they were like killing people.
Oh,
It was a bad time. You know, what are you gonna do? It's fair to say that a good chunk of Irish folks might be irritated by the ethnic stereotypes perpetuated by leprechaun.
What do you mean? Just
Shark.
a small, angry man that drinks too much.
Drinks too much, has red hair, and sings a little diddly.
Does a little clog dance.
But there is a tale oftentimes tied of like morality
Sure.
that can be taught from the fable of the leprechaun. The fact that they often trick people who will seek a pot of gold could be maybe taken as a warning for people to not get invested in like get rich quick schemes.
Don't be greedy.
Or don't be greedy. You know, the price of a hard day's work. You know, who knows? It also might be something to do like don't take what's yours, nor should you interfere with things.
Don't take what's not yours.
Yeah.
Don't
take what's yours. Leave it for others.
Give it away.
Give it away. It's a tale of donation.
We're just trying to make the world a better place.
This poor leprechaun's just so misunderstood. God.
Oh, that's funny.
So a little did you know here. The modern day depiction of a leprechaun is that of a man clad entirely in green. However, Irish folklore actually describes leprechauns as men who wore red outfits.
Yeah, that's crazy.
And tri-colored hats.
What color? What tri?
It does not say. Did I Google it? No.
Do you think we're just trying to go off of the whole like 4-leaf clover green shamrock?
I think green was one of the three colors, if I'm guessing. My guess would be like red, green, white.
Red, green, black?
Red, green, black.
Wait, what's the Irish flag? Green, orange.
Green, orange, white?
Yeah.
So maybe it was that. Irish novelist Samuel Lover describes leprechauns as such in his 1831 work, Legends and Stories of Ireland. According to Caroline White's A History of Irish Fairies, my mom would be so proud if I wrote a book called that. There is no record of any female leprechauns ever existing.
That's probably why they're cranky.
Tell me, Mart. They know. This kind of,
if you know, you know.
yeah, no kidding. This kind of defies typical laws of biology. Crazy. And there's no real evidence which tells the story of how like the lineage continues if there are no.
Maybe they just are immortal.
The aforementioned book by Caroline White states that leprechauns are actually just deformed children of fairies.
Whoa. That's worse than ugly. Deformed.
That's a terrible word. You gotta like punch them, really. Though the legend of the leprechaun is well over 1,000 years old, there was a sighting as recently as 1989 by a pub landlord called P.J. O'Hare. This would be in Carlingford in County Louth. O'Hare claims that he heard screams from a well and found the remains and clothing of a leprechaun, which he happily has now displayed in his pub.
Yikes.
Yep. And that's why people are wondering why they're haunted. I'm like, you can't do that to people.
It probably is a child's bones.
Jesus.
You know what I'm saying?
Yeah. Like the likelihood of it actually. But like, if you heard screaming. How could it be bones?
Well, it's probably the body, but if it was that long ago.
Oh, well. Anyways, the town now has an annual leprechaun hunt.
They still hunt other kids.
Though now the object of the game is to find these plastic versions of the fabled creature that they fit in throughout the town.
That's probably better.
Another last fun fact for you on our tale of leprechauns, that leprechauns are actually a protected species under the EU law.
Oh.
So Carlingford's Slibba Foy Loop Trail, don't ask me to spell it for you, is officially protected land for the 236 leprechauns that apparently live in Ireland.
Good. Okay.
A local lobbyist group, which contains like a bunch of different people, managed to convince the EU that the area should be protected, and it is now under European Habitats Directive.
You know, you think about how many bills we try to get passed in the United States.
For God's sake.
We can't even get basic human rights passed, but they can get passed to protect
leprechauns.
leprechauns. Good for them.
You know, they really are getting things done.
Yeah.
There.
Proud of you. That's kind of fun.
Yeah, I don't know. I was like, I got to start it off with March's like biggest little creature.
Oh, for sure.
To be frank, I don't think leprechauns exist.
It's just fun.
But I do think they're fun. And I think a lot of these mythical creatures that we find kind of throughout maybe this month, I don't know how many of them we're going to be like, yep, those exist. But there are some out there, like mermaids.
Oh, I am all in on mermaids. You cannot convince me otherwise.
Mermaids, real. Leprechauns.
We are not idiots.
Also, I want to know, like, 236 is such a specific number.
Yeah.
Like, who is like, I've met them all.
Also, if there's 237, can you kill one of them?
Also, were there 237 until 1989 when Jimmy fell in the well?
Oh, sad.
89, sorry.
We need a more Irish name, though, than Jimmy.
Patrick fell in the well. That's a British accent. That's
Fitzgerald.
O'Hare.
Middle name.
That's right.
Well, that's fun.
Flanagan.
Kind of to go off of the mischievous, switching into jerkish, asshole-ish behavior, I found an Am I the Asshole for you today.
Love.
And let me just tell you, it's already flagged as asshole pomade. So, just so you know.
Is this rage bait? Am I going to be very upset by the end of this?
You're just going to be like, wow, you're a shitty person.
Cool, great.
So, am I the asshole for not watching my kids so their father could visit his wife in the hospital?
Whoa. Probably.
And if you think it's bad, no. Me and my ex-husband, divorced 4 years ago, we have 2 daughters together.
Okay.
My ex-husband remarried 1 year ago, and I knew that he and his wife were expecting because my daughters told me that they would get a sibling.
Okay.
Now, this Friday, it was his week with the girls, and he called me and asked if I could please take them earlier. When I asked him why, he told me that he needed to be with his wife at the hospital. I said no. That is not a reason to disobey the court order, and that he either could stay with the girls, leave the girls with a babysitter, or take them with him to the hospital. I hung up before he could continue.
What is wrong with you?
He texted me about 2 hours after, telling me that I was extremely sick in the head and that for once, he was in a situation where he needed my help and I refused. His best friend, who was a mutual friend of ours until the divorce, also texted me and said that he hoped I was happy with myself.
That's the nicest thing that anybody could have said to you.
I don't know how I could be an asshole.
What do you mean?
But it obviously seems like he and his best friend have come to that conclusion. If I am the asshole, yes, I will apologize. But firstly, I need to know. And there's a little edit. My kids are fine. And I, of course, would have taken them if no one else was available. I am not a monster. They are currently with his best friend as my ex is still in the hospital with his wife. So no, I would not him rather leaving them with a stranger, as many of you assume.
Yes, you did. You said figure out where to shove those children. Like you said, a babysitter, which is a stranger.
Yeah.
It's a stranger. You vet babysitters. Also, what would constitute a good excuse for him to like say, hey, I can't take the kids right now. My wife is in the hospital.
Right.
Like, what better use of, hey, can you take the kid? And he wasn't, this is.
Well, like literally, it's like she hates her ex more than she loves her children. Not only are you the asshole, but you failed your kids.
Yeah. That was a comment, I'm guessing.
Yeah.
Yeah, I mean, just like, seriously, like, what are you telling your children?
I don't know.
That, like, when it's not my time to see you, I don't want to fucking
like,
see you.
I can understand if she's like, dang, I'm at, even if she's like at work or had like an excuse, right? Like, I'm sorry, I can't get there till this time. Could someone watch them till I get there? Like,
yeah.
Or I can come get them, whatever. Like, I get that, like, you can't always just drop life.
Yeah.
To fix something, but also that's kind of the point of being a parent, that sometimes you have to just drop your life to take care of them. It sounds like you just said, no, it's not my time to get them yet. You'll have to figure out childcare for a few days until the court order goes through.
Time.
Yeah, ridiculous.
Well, and again, if you were like, okay, maybe the divorce was super messy, the custody battle was super messy, and you were like, I am following this custody agreement to the T. And he reached out and said, you need to take them early. And you said, give me a reason. And he said, I want to go sleep around. Then maybe you could be like, no, I'm following the court order.
Mm-hmm.
But also you have this say, text me this so you have proof of this man being like, I don't want my kids right now.
Right.
Then go get your fucking kids.
Right.
Like, you are telling your children so much shit without talking to them. Like, mom did not come and get me when we needed her.
Right.
Also, like, I understand that, like, co-parenting is extremely difficult.
Oh, 100%.
Especially when there is, like, really intense emotions between the two parties.
Mm-hmm.
But also, like, whatever you do, don't make your children a victim to it. Like, I don't know what you need to do, but you need to figure out how to fucking work together.
Right.
In a way that, like, works for the kids.
Well, and beyond that, like, you need to at some point just be an adult.
Yeah.
Like, just get over all of the facts of everything else and take care of your kids.
Right. You don't have to like
plain and simple.
Husband. You don't have to like his new wife. You don't really, to be honest with you, have to like their new baby coming around. But you can treat them like people.
Yeah.
You can ignore them to the best of your ability. But like, I can only tell you, just based on what I'm hearing from that, she sounds like the type of person that like shit talks dad and like new wife to those children.
Oh, 100%.
Like, she's like, well, my kids told me she was pregnant.
Yeah.
Like, yeah, and that's sad that you have such a shitty relationship with your children's dad that he can't say like, hey, BT Dubs, my wife is pregnant. I'm expecting again.
Right. Wow. So yeah.
Did the OP ever comment back?
No. The only edit was that, like,
I'm not a terrible person.
Yeah, I'm not a monster.
Well, and I love people who post on Am I the Asshole that are so clearly the asshole. And I understand sometimes you like don't have perspective, right? Like, you're like, I'm so angry and I said something and I feel like it was deserved. When you type it out
and read it back and then start to see the comments and then you're like buckling down like, no, I didn't just let them stay with some random person.
What do you mean? Like,
you said just get a babysitter. And also like, when you're saying get a babysitter, it's not like a short-term thing. It's not like, oh, I have to go to a doctor's appointment. Like, she's going into labor in the hospital. It's not going to be like a quick one and done thing that they could just watch your kid for an hour or something.
Oh, it just, to me, makes it so much more difficult on your children. Also, if you think that, like, you better be careful. Like, he's got record of you being like, I don't give a shit. I'm not coming to get my kids.
Right.
Like,
well, that
if
was
he
the other
takes your
comments
ass
too.
to
Was like they could
court-
bring her back to court, and you would lose custody of them.
absolutely. Like, you'd go from, like, having custody 50-50 to, like,
Well, what are you going to do if
visitation.
he's in? Technically, he's kind of in an emergency, a medical emergency.
There's so many questions of, like, why are you this bitter?
I don't know.
Live and let go. And it's not like, to me, it sounds like there was nothing shady happening. I don't know,
Right.
obviously, but, like,
well, and even still, it's not an excuse to not pick up your kids.
no, but, like, you got divorced 4 years ago,
Mm-hmm.
so it's not like it's fresh. He didn't get married till 3 years after the divorce.
Right. Plenty of time in between.
You got to figure it out. Like, you got to figure it out for your kids. You got to figure it out. You also just can't be, like, abandoning your children anywhere.
No. Plain and simple, you're the asshole.
The asshole. I love everyone's vote. If people were like, no, I'd be like, oh.
Yeah, there's no support there.
Yeah, very rarely do I disagree with, like,
The majority. Yeah, I agree too.
on those. Because usually it's like, if I do disagree, it's like, read a couple comments and see where people are coming from. And you're like, oh.
Okay, I get it. Yeah.
Yeah.
No.
This isn't even like an everyone sucks here. It's just like, you
just suck. You are in the wrong.
Also, don't post that and then get super defensive.
Right. And then you think, like, you delete it.
Oh, yeah. Take it off.
Like, the fact that she's got that much confidence to leave it on top of it is almost worse.
It's impressive. Sometimes, people, it's like my dad always said, better keep your mouth shut and have people think you're stupid than open it.
And prove that they're right.
And remove all doubt.
Yep.
And I went, so you're saying I'm stupid?
Got it.
Got it. Right on. Thanks, Dad.
That's some life advice there.
There you go. Yeah, if anyone ever needs life advice from Pete Osmond, it's better to keep your mouth closed and have people think you're stupid than to open it and remove all doubt.
That's one of our teachers' rule number 7.
Perfect.
And there's a few students that'd always be like, number 7.
Nope.
Look at rule number 7. You're proving to all of us that you're an idiot.
What's it like to be stupid? Dumbass.
Oh, well,
God.
that kind of wraps up the rest of our show, first show of March.
Woo-hoo.
If you have any folk tales or mythical creatures that you would like us to cover, definitely send us a message on X or Threads or Instagram at _EH, or you can send us an email. It's listed on there too.
Mm-hmm.
We'd love to hear from you guys. Otherwise, we'll see you next week.
Bye.